Hello everyone and welcome to another video. My name is Sarthin and I'm playing on an emulated EverQuest server called the EZServer. The recent days and weeks I've been working on some video content for our server. And right now I'm working on a guidance showcase for the EZServer where I go through the different zones that we have, the custom zones that we have on our server, and basically show what the zones are all about, and basically give you an introduction to the server. And the previous video that I made was Tier 9, the old common lands, and today we'll move on to Tier 10, which is Sunderock Springs. This is quite a large zone, and we can see here on the map that it's split into three parts. We have the south area and the middle area and the north area, and we will have three different factions here. And the factions will play a big role in how you progress through this zone. So we can see here we have the knoll area down here, and some knolls here as well, and then we have the huge orc camp over here in the middle area, and then we'll have the Sarnecks up north. In addition to these three factions, you'll have other different NPCs types around here as well. One of the mob types that I should mention is the bandits that we'll have up here. And we'll also have some random basilisks that are running around here, and they will also play a part in progressing in the zone. And on top of that, we have some random NPCs, and then we'll have some vampires. A few things to note before I jump in game and show you the zone and present the guide from in-game. There are a few things that you should know about. If you played on the previous in the previous tiers, some of these tiers you can have use the items like Spirit of Ninja, make yourself self invisible, and remove aggro and stuff. So that basically doesn't work here, along with the levitate spells. But you can use your mounts though, so that is really nice because you'll be able to. Using your mounts, if you have them, will definitely make your pulling easier when you are fighting in the zone. So I guess let's just get on with it in game here, and so you can see it's nighttime, and we are currently in Tier 10, Sunderock Springs. I'm now in the starting area of this zone, and I'll just once you have run through the old common lands, gotten all your visible armor and your epic 9, you will be able to hail the level up wench and get your flag for this zone. And once you get in here, you'll end up in here in this bulb here. And you'll basically just have to move up here to get into the starting area, where you'll find all the relevant NPCs for the zone. Some of these are important quest NPCs, and some of these are like in the previous tiers, the normal merchants and bankers and stuff. But there are quite a few quest NPCs that you need to deal with in this zone, compared to the previous zones you've been in on this server. So I think we'll just jump right into it, really. I brought my whole army with me today because we're starting now to get to a point where the mobs will hit harder, and they will take quite a bit longer to kill than in the previous zones that I've showed in my guide. So for the sake of making these videos as short as possible, I've been loading them in as well, so we can hopefully kill some mobs a bit quicker and show off the zone in a more rapid manner than I would without them. So yeah. But let's start now with when you first get in here for the first time with your characters. The first thing you need to do is you need to hail this gnome over here called the roaming gnome. And for starters, he'll give you a starter quest, and the starter quest is to talk to 3 faction leaders. As I mentioned previously, when we saw the map, there are 3 main factions here: the orcs, the gnolls, and the Sarnaks, and they each have a faction leader. So over here we have the Sergeant Grognir, and once you've gotten the quest from the roaming gnome, you have to speak to this guy here and follow through his quest dialogue, and he'll explain what the alliance is all about. Basically, he's letting you know that they are dealing with killing the orcs in the zone. Then you will move on to the next alliance leader, the faction leader over here, and she is the leader for fighting against the gnolls, which you will find down here. So you can see some of these gnolls down here now already. And then you'll have the third faction leader, which you'll find over here, and this guy is the one you speak with and have dealings with when you are working on your Sarnak faction. So the roaming gnome gives you a starting quest to talk to these 3 leaders that I've just shown you, and once you've done that and go back to him and talk to him again, he'll congratulate you on a very difficult task, and and then he'll tell you that you need to choose one of these faction leaders to work to cooperate with, and basically that is how you gain armor for your characters in the zone. You have to cooperate with these 3 leaders. But the thing is, you cannot work with all these 3 leaders at the same time. You need, and the roaming gnome wants you to choose one of these faction leaders. So you'll basically, once you've made your choice, you will be locked to that faction leader and his or her quests until you have reached ally, which is the highest faction possible. So once you reached ally, then you can go over to the roaming gnome again and switch to another faction. So you may think, okay, what faction should I choose when I first get in here? And most of us have that's already done this has chosen the orc faction first, so that'll be the alliance leader over here. And the reason why most of us have chosen this guy here first is because the armor that you get from working with the quests that this NPC gives you will give you the best armor in terms of hit points. So most of us just stuck with working with the orc faction first, but there is the downside of doing that is that the orcs, the orc lair, which you'll find over here. The orc lair, you'll find some of these mobs will be quite tough to kill. They'll hit a lot harder than some of the other gnolls and Sarnaks. So just, you have to, take that into consideration as well. But most of us started with orcs mainly because the armor you get will be superior in terms of hit points than the other 2 faction leaders. So once you have completed the quests that this guy gives you, it'll take a long time for you to do with all your characters. Then you can, tell the roaming gnome that, okay, I have finished working with my orc faction on all my characters, and I'm ready to move on. And at that point, he'll point you towards one of these 2 leaders, and you'll have to choose one of them. Keep in mind that choosing the gnoll faction will result in finishing to ally probably a bit faster than the Sarnak, because of the fact that there are more gnolls in the zone, and they're quite easy to pull and to kill. So if you wanna finish the toughest one first, after the orcs, you would just do the Sarnaks first and then the gnolls. It doesn't really matter. You can do whatever you want, but know that if you finish the gnolls after the orcs and then move on to the Sarnaks, you'll end up with having the most time-consuming faction to work on for last, at least. So just you know, you can choose whatever you want, but I would definitely start by doing the orc faction first. How does that work really? How does it, you know, I've only, you know, been telling you the basics when you get in here now. So say that you have chosen the orc faction. So you've told the roaming gnome that, okay, I want to start working on my orc faction because that is cool to do because, you know, I'll get some uber armor. So basically what you do then, you make sure all your characters choose to work with the orc faction first. And then you move over here, and when you hail him, you will get a dialogue window up just like I'm having right here, but your status won't be unlocked like mine. You will start on the lowest faction, and you will have to help this guy here kill orcs to gain higher faction and access to the armor. As you can see here, I already have the armor and I have done the quest, so I can just, you know, click the text here and summon whatever armor I want. I already have some better armor, which I will cover in a little bit, but you know, this is the main the first armor that you'll get from this tier. So, like I said, when you hail this guy, he'll give you a quest to kill 250 orcs, and you know, it'll get progressively more orcs to kill each time you hand in the quest. It'll start with 250, then 500, and then I think it ends with repeatedly giving you a quest that is to kill 750 orcs. So once you have killed all the orcs that this Sergeant Grognir demands of you, then you'll have to run your characters back here and hail him. And you do that enough times and you will get higher faction. And once you get to Devious, you will be able to get your first armor piece from this guy here. And as it says here, this is the faction you need, and it says plus token. So let me explain just really quick what the token is all about. Each of these camps, like the Orc, the Gnoll, and the Sarnak camps, they have some of the mobs in these camps will, you know, upon killing them, they will have a chance to trigger a boss spawn. So we'll have a few bosses that spawns in the Orc area, and once you have killed those bosses, they will drop tokens among other things. And these tokens, you will have to hand them in to this guy here to unlock your armor. So make sure that you keep your tokens on you, and especially they are no drop. So make sure you loot them with your main tank first, because he will be the most important character to get donned in the new armor first. So once you have gotten to ally with all your characters, not just your tank, but every character you have that you're running, once you get them all to ally with killing the orcs, then it's time to move on to a new faction, either the Sarnaks or the Gnolls. And the Sarnak and the Gnolls leaders, they will have different armor for you. You will have to do the exact same thing there as you have done with the orcs, only you'll be killing different mobs. But you know, the different mobs will also have a chance to spawn bosses in those respective areas, and they will also drop tokens, so you need to turn in for armor. As I said, the Orc armor is the armor with the highest hit points, but there are also some benefits to the Sarnaks and the Gnolls. I think the Gnolls are more focused on healing and buffing, and you know, the armor will benefit casters in that sense, buffers and healers, while the Sarnak armor will give you some benefits towards the damage oriented caster classes. So yeah, so there's a quick intro for those armor sets. You can obviously read more on the wiki about them as well. But assuming you went in here and you chose to start with the Orc faction, there are a few more things to do before you jump down and start trying to kill orcs and die over and over again. There are a few more quests that I want to explain to you, and we'll go right ahead and do that now, because it's important that you pick up all the relevant quests before you start killing the stuff in here. So moving over here, we have I'll start by introducing this one. even though this is not the most important one in the beginning. But Vakul the champion, he'll have a quest. When you hail him, he'll give you a quest. And the quest is to collect some symbols. So I told you that the different camps and some of the other different mobs in the zone will trigger some named bosses that spawns. These bosses will drop, well, not always, but sometimes these mobs will drop. They'll drop these souls. Let me see. I can actually check if I have some of these. I think I have. I should have some of these souls. I can just show them to you. Right now, let me see here. Yeah, so here is an example of these souls. As you can see here, this is a soul of a name here that's called Beast of Burden. So the item lore will also show you that it's a tier 10 soul champion quest. So grabbing this quest and running around in the zone and killing the bosses in here will result in you, sometimes when you're lucky, you will get these souls. I recommend collecting them first on your main tank, because when you have collected all the souls required to finish the quest, you will get a really nice augment, which I can show you right now. It's called the Champion's Symbol. This is the champion symbol, and you can socket it into your armor. And as you can see here, you'll get quite a decent jump in your hit points, and it has some regen as well here and some mana. So and this is required level 78, so you can still use this even though you haven't reached level 79 yet. Talking about getting to level 79. I've explained to you how you get the different armors in this zone, except for one armor set that I will explain in a little bit. But as with the other tiers, there's also the possibility of upgrading your epic augment. Being in here for the first time, you will be having the augment 9 of the old common lands, and here in tier 10 you can get the augment 10. So the way to go around by doing that is you need to hail this guy here, Algion Silver Shaper, and he will give you a quest. He'll tell you that some of these mobs in here, when they're killed, they have a chance to spawn some mobs called Plagueborns. You know, I guess there's no easy way to say this, but you have to kill 1,000 of these Plagueborns to complete the quest. So that will take a long time for you to do. So, you know, just so you know, this will take a long time, and you may start to, or maybe even be finished with all the 3 factions in here before you've killed 1,000 Plagueborns. So that is a quest that is mandatory for you to get your Epic 10 augment and level 79. So keep that in mind. There is also one more thing that you need to get your Epic 10 and level 79. And I'll cover that over here again, because as you may have noticed previously when I was hailing him, there was something called weapon here, and the Orcish study weaponry. So basically what this is something that is required for you to do to get the Epic 10 augment. So let's take the orcs as an example, use them as an example here now. If you've chosen the orc faction and you go over there and start killing them, you'll notice that these sharp orc sticks will drop off the mobs. It's quite an uncommon, it's not a common drop, but you know, make sure that you loot these, you know, when you get back to the sergeant here, you can you can give him these weapons, you need to give him a little bit quick trigger there. So you need to hand him 100 of these weapons. So that'll definitely take some time as well. I've already done that, obviously, so there's no need for me to do that now. but you need to hand him 100 weapons. And once you've done that, once you've done that and you have killed 1,000 Plagueborns, then you'll be ready for your level 79 and your Epic 10 augment. So once you have done that, you can basically go over to the roaming gnome here, and he'll give you an Epic 10 augment. That covers the epic augment stuff. You know, it is a bit hard to make a guide for this zone, because there's so many. It's very rich on content, and there's so many different things happening here. So, you know, I may be forgetting some of the important stuff along the way, but you know, hopefully I'll be able to cover most of the things that you should need to know. And as always, you can go up and read on the wiki as well to get any information that I may have forgotten to mention. So now we've explained how you get the armors in here and work on the factions. We will also explain the Champion's Quest, Champion Soul Quest, and what you need in order to get level 79 and your Epic 10 augment. But there is one more NPC here which you will want to hail and start a quest with once you get in here, and that is this guy here. He will have the accessories in here, because as I shown you the armors already from the alliance leader over here, but all the accessories that you would want to have in your characters, like I have already finished it here, so I can show you some of the items here. It's a quest to get access to these accessories. So basically, there are some mobs in this zone called bandits, and I'll show them to you in a little bit. And these bandits, they will drop some stolen loot, and you can hand in the stolen loot to this guy here, and when you gotten 100 stolen loot, he will reward you, or he will flag you, so that you'll be able to access the menu that I just showed you. So you can choose and just pick up all the accessories that you would want on your different characters. Some of these bandits, upon killing some of these bandits, they will also have a chance to spawn some named bosses, bandit bosses. And the bandit bosses will drop these immaculate chromatium fragments, something like that. So these will definitely help you a lot. You can hand in these fragments here to get a lot of hits for the quest. I'm not entirely sure just how many you need to turn in. 100 stolen loot. I'm not really sure how much this counts towards the stolen loot, but I think maybe 10 or 15. So if you hand in like 2 of these, you may be up to 30 stolen loot already, something like that. So make sure that you keep these, and also you may want to, some of the bandit bosses, when you've killed them, they will sometimes drop these fragments on your cursor, in which case you may want to have something like this. Well, you can remove this because this was something else entirely, but the 2 upper lines here is what is of interest, because that will basically tell your characters to, if they have something on their cursor, they'll say it, output it in the raid chat, and they will put it in the inventory, like you can see here. So this may be a useful hotkey for you when you're in here. Else they will just be stuck on your mouse and it'll be really annoying. So yeah, it's a good hotkey to have when you kill these bandits. So yeah, that is explained. So okay, so I'm done explaining how to do the accessories here. So yeah, make sure you grab these 2 quests when you start in here. I don't think you can interact with these 2 before you've chosen a faction. So after you've chosen your orc faction, if that's the one you want to start with, then you let the roaming gnome know that you have made your choice, I think, and then I think it opens up the dialogue here. You can talk to them and grab the quests. So that is the first quick introduction to this zone. So let me just do a few small changes here, and then we'll continue the tour. All right, so moving on, I've now showed you how to get started in here. So basically, it all starts with the roaming gnome, and select your faction. After you've talked to the leaders, you just choose your faction, and you make sure that you pick up the quests here as well, and then you can start going around and you know, doing the quests. There is one thing I forgot to mention. When I talked about the weapons quest that you need to unlock your Epic 10 augment, all the 3 faction leaders will have this sort of quest, but you're only required to do one of them. So you don't have to collect 100 orc weapons and then, you know, 100 gnoll weapons and then 100 Sarthin weapons. It's enough that you do it with one of the factions to get your epic. So keep that in mind. I just wanted to mention that as well. Before we move around and show the zone, there is one more thing that I wanted to mention, and that is the 4th armor set that you can get in here. Because basically, I didn't show you exactly everything here, but each of these 3 faction leaders have different armor sets. So you basically have 3 different armor sets. As I explained a little bit about the pros and cons earlier in the video. But there is a 4th set, and that is a set that you can only start working on once you have completed ally faction and all the armors for each of these 3 factions. And by that I mean you have to work to ally with all 3 factions, and you also have to turn in the tokens to receive all the armor pieces. So you need to complete all these armor pieces, unlock every one of these, except the weaponry if you've done it with another faction, but all the armor you need to unlock on all 3 factions. And once you've done that, then you'll be able to speak with this guy over here, which will give you something that will, you know, absolutely change everything. Basically, he'll give you a quest for the ultimate armor. And as you can see, this is my armor, and this is an example of the ultimate armor. So basically all my armor sets here are the ultimate armor, and it's well, to put it mildly, it's a insanely good upgrade from the orc armor. So it'll make playing in this zone a completely different thing, really. And I'll let you know a little bit. You can read about this on the wiki as well, obviously, but I'll let you know quite briefly how this works. So once you have, you know, completed all the armor for the 3 different factions, you have unlocked them by turning in, by doing the faction up to ally and turn in the tokens. Then you can hail this guy here, and he will start talking about needing some pieces for a hammer. And there are 5 or 6 different pieces that you need to collect. And you'll find these hammer pieces off very rarely off the plagueborns that you also need to, the ones that I mentioned that you need to kill 1,000 of. And once in a while, when you're really lucky, you can get one of these hammer pieces drop off these plagueborns, and you can turn them into this guy here to work on the quests. So he'll give you the quest, and you just go around, you kill the plagueborns, and once you have found some of the hammer parts, you just give them to him. And as soon as you've gathered all the hammer parts, he will then tell you that that you have unlocked, you know, you have then unlocked the ultimate armor. And the way to go around about making this armor set then is that you will need to, if you want to make, this is the ultimate armor boots, so I'll use them as an example. If you want to make these boots, then you'll have to go to all the 3 different faction leaders. You have to pick up the 3 boots. So right now I have 2 of them. So this is why you need to finish the quest with all the 3 faction leaders. That the armor, you must unlock the armor. So now that I have all 3 feats, I can go over to him here and I can hand these in. And if it only was that I can just click give and then I'll get these back, but it's not that easy. The bosses in this zone and the Plagueborns will drop something called glowing sun shards. And to make the ultimate armor, you need one of the piece of each for the factions, and then you have to add the glowing sun shard, one of them as well. And once you do that and click give, he'll give you the ultimate armor boots. I'll probably make some videos in the future where I talk about which pieces you should get for which classes at first, because these glowing sun shards are really rare. And even though we have gotten some new zones post tier 10 that drops these more frequently, they are still quite rare, and but they'll be more available on the market now and in the future than they ever have been. So I guess that is good news for those that have not gained the armor pieces yet, though. So that is the ultimate armor, and you know, once you get this armor on your tank, you will be able to do things that you have never done before on this server. You'll be able to tank tons of mobs, several hundred mobs at the same time. So it will make some of the content trivial for you. Some of the current content up to tier 10. Moving on to Sleeper's Tomb and Vision's Peak. You cannot go around and pull hundreds of mobs anymore, no matter what armor you have. But it's a different ball game, really. It's a totally different game once you get the armor set on you, because it's just really, really powerful as well. So that is the ultimate armor, and I think I have then covered most of the things that I wanted to cover in the actual camp here. I hope it wasn't too messy, because there's just so many things to mention, really. There's also one expedition here that you can also start doing by hailing him, and your raid will be teleported down to an expedition, a tier 10 expedition. You can read more about that on the week as well. But I think I basically have covered most of the things that I wanted to mention in the camp here. So that means it's time for the fun part. And by the fun part, I mean let's take a trip around the zone and see what everything looks like. And we can start off by seeing if we can find a Plagueborn. As I mentioned to you previously, you need to kill 1,000 Plagueborns. And these Plagueborns will have a different NPC model. So in front of us here, we'll have a gluttonous fighter. And that is one of the many different Plagueborn types that you will find in the zone. And this is something I've run past now. This is basically to get these to spawn, you just, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but as long as you run around and kill the different mobs in the zone, most of them, if not all of them, will have a chance to spawn these Plagueborns. And I just have to type something here, because I just saw that Mope. Mope got his carpet, which is the one that I'm currently using. It's the fastest mount on the server, so grats is due. It's really, really rare. But anyways, that was just a small distraction there. So basically here we have a Plagueborn. You spawn these by killing the mobs in the zone. They have a small chance to trigger these. And let me just buff up here a bit, and we'll kill it, and we'll see if it has any decent drops. So As you can see here, it's currently night time in the zone, and it has stayed night for the entire time that I've made this video. And there is a reason behind that, which I will also touch in on, because some of the bosses in the zone will have the power to alter the game time. So yeah, I'll get more into that later, perhaps. But for now, let's just kill this guy here. This is a Plagueborn, and I'll just send my other characters in here as well. And we'll just get him down really quick. Keep in mind that my gear is maxed, and he will definitely not be this easy for you when you're breaking in here. Looting him, yeah. So here we have one of the pieces that you need for the ultimate armor quest that I just talked about, the glowing hammer handle. So this is one of the pieces for the ultimate armor quest. So make sure you, when you kill these Plagueborns and they drop these, they also, by the way, have a chance to drop these glowing sun shards. But if they drop these, make sure that you loot them on your tank first, because he's obviously the first one that you want to complete this ultimate armor quest with. So yeah, we got an example of that now, so that's really nice. So assuming now that you are working on your orc faction first, then let's move over to the orc faction, and I'll give a brief tour of the orcs, if I can get myself unstuck from the various tents in here. I'm just should be better off just putting it on run, really. But so moving over here, this is the orc lair, and you will spend a lot of time down here pulling these orcs. Some of them can be really annoying, especially the juggernauts, which are some of the orcs in here, are called orc juggernauts, and they will, you know, throw a skyrocket spell on you or something that makes you jump really high up in the air. So, but I'm not going to mention everything here, because some of these things is really fun to figure out for yourself. But this is the orc camp, and in here you can have mainly 2 different named spawns. They'll spawn here, 3 actually, because if you kill these orcs or the basilisks that are around here, you may have a chance to spawn one of the bosses in here. And you know, if you want to, you can read up about how to, you know, work on all this, and what bosses will spawn if you do this and that. You can read up about read up on most of that stuff on the wiki, or you can talk to people in game, or you can just try to figure it out yourself if you want to. So basically, right now we have one of those named up in this orc area, and that is the Basilisk Den Mother, and she is one of the named spawns that spawns in the zone. And she will have the option of dropping one of these souls that I showed you, and the soul quest that you will get from the soul quest that you, when complete, you will get this really nice augment. So this named here will sometimes, not always, sometimes she will drop one of these symbols that you need to, you know, complete the quest for the hit point augment. So here you can see I just killed a few of these guys here, and they already, you know, the Plagueborns already started spawning. So yeah, but let's go in here and take a look at this Den Mother. Just we can just kill her quick and see if she drops anything interesting. There is a really nice belt that you can drop, which will add a lot of hit points. The belt will be super nice and much better than the belts you've already received previously. So, but it's a rare drop, so she may not always have it. So as you can see here, the Plagueborns are I've already had like 4 or 5 Plagueborns drop here. So, you know, it is a bit random how often they spawn, but you know, you gotta plan for them. Some of these Plagueborns can be really tricky to kill because they have some spells that, you know, some life taps and stuff. So, but you know, I wouldn't be done with this video for tomorrow even if I was to explain everything in this zone, because there's just so much to, you know, talk about. And today we were really lucky. So as you can see here, it's quite a large loot table. I'm not going to go into detail on what all these items are, because you can just read up on them on the wiki. But the two items that I wanted to mention here is this. This is the token that you need to turn in to the faction leaders once you get to a new level to get your new armor piece. So make sure that you loot these, and especially make sure that you loot them on your main tank first. And then we have this belt as well, the Den Mother's hide belt, which is a really nice upgrade from your previous belts with over 300k hit points. Sorry about that. So that is just one of the 3 bosses that can spawn in this area. Alright, so moving on. So like I said, this is one of the 3 bosses that can spawn from killing stuff in this area, in this lair. And let's move back to the main camp now. And where should we go now? Okay, so let's move down to the Gnolls area. So whenever you are working on your Gnoll faction here and the quests and the armor, then you will have to kill the Gnolls, and they spawn in 2 different places. We have some of the Gnolls that spawns up here, and you know, I guess the main thing that is important to let you know about these is that there are some of these are like this one that I've targeted here is assassins, and if you don't value your life, you can just go up and show your back to them, and they will, you know, let you know that they can kill you really fast. So, you know, make sure that you avoid exposing your back to these guys here when you're killing the Gnolls. But, you know, there are not so many Gnolls up here. Most of the Gnolls are down where I showed you previously in the video. Let me just move down here a bit. So down here you'll see that most of the Gnolls are parked down here, and you can, as we can also see, I also have a boss up here, which is one of the bosses that will, you know, spawn sometimes randomly when you kill the Gnolls, and this guy will as you know, as with the boss that I just killed, this will also drop tokens that you will need to complete the Gnoll armor. So let's move down here, and I guess we can just kill the I guess I can just show you real quick how I used to pull this whenever I got enough armor to do it. I can give you a quick rundown how I used to do that. Not sure how buffed I should be pretty much decked out with the buffs, so let me just throw on my Divine Aura of my Cleric. And basically what I did when I was farming the Gnolls, back before I was zone pulling this place, I just went this route here with a Divine Aura on, so I was invulnerable for some time. I would move over here, over the bridge here, I would just turn the camera and whoa. And then move back, get as many as possible, and if you have someone that can summon you back, you can do that like I just did now, and then you'll just have to wait here. And this is not for breaking into the zone though, by the way. This is for when you you know, when you get higher up in the level. Once you have gotten some of your ultimate armor, you may want to do this. I'll just go ahead and kill all these now, and I'll also show you one of the best AoE in here. if you have a necromancer. I'm just gonna take off my weapon just to show you how powerful the necromancers can be. So basically what I did now is I just turned off took off my weapon so that I may just want to switch my charm as well here for this purpose. Just kind of a spur of the moment thing I'm doing here right now. But I'll show you the power of the necromancer. Being a warrior, I have some tricks that I can use my riposte here and kill these really quickly regardless. But, I just wanted to show off the necromancers. In a video that I've made, I've not uploaded yet, I'm showing this, how I can use the death quests line spells to do a lot of AoE damage in here. So basically I targeted Venom Bite here, and I'm throwing off three of my dots here on the Lord Venom Bite, and also this one, and then I'll toss on Epidemic, which will cause all the dots that are casted on the mob here will cause them to spread, as you can see here. All the other mobs in the close vicinity of of the boss will also get infected with the dots, and as you can see here already, it'll do massive massive DPS, and this is just using one necromancer. Some of the people on the server have like 2, maybe 3 necromancers, so it'll be really good DPS for you if you decide to run this quest line here. Let me just oh, of course he does. I forgot that this boss, Lord Venombite, is actually quite annoying boss. So it was actually kind of a mistake for me to cast on him, because when he gets lower on hit points, he will actually teleport. So yeah, but you can see here the power of the necromancer. I mean, most of these mobs are now almost dead. Even though I messed up a bit by casting casting this on the boss that decides to teleport, and being hard about it. So Feint Death is important if it works. Let's try again. Okay, so it definitely doesn't work on him. Alright. Let me just fix that by helping him with my other characters. So, yeah, so he doesn't die. Alright, so let me just finish these off here now. And we can continue. This was definitely some sort of sidetrack. But, it's for the content. I knew this was going to be a long video way before I started it. So, okay, we've killed one of the null bosses. There are 2 other bosses. I'm not going to show every one of the bosses here. It does take some time to I'll just have to, loot him like this. As you can see, he also has the soul. He doesn't always drop the soul, but sometimes he does, and right now he did, which is good for us for the content of this video. So this is also one of the souls that you need to complete the quest that you got in the starting area, along with these tokens that you need to turn in when you are working on your null faction and unlocking your null armor. As you can see, he also drops a key here. Being in this zone for a while, you will see that some chests will spawn, and these chests can be opened with these keys, just so you know. Also remember to pick up your resistance stones and grab the spells that you need. They will drop quite commonly off the bosses here. I think the bosses always drops at least 1 spell. And also remember to check out my previous video. I think it's part 2 or 3 maybe 4, where I talk about how to make custom spells. You'll be able to do that for the spells in this zone as well. And there are quite a few spells in here that could be useful for you. So make sure you do that as well. So we have now gone through the orc camp. I've shown you how the orc camp looks, and how how one of the bosses that spawns in your camp is, and we'll move up to, and also showing you the null camp. Yes, so okay, so moving up to the Sarthin camp. I showed you in the beginning that the Sarthin camp was way up north in here. So let's move up there now, and on our way up there, let me just speed up a little bit. On our way up there, we will also run past the area where some of the bandits spawn. And as I told you, if you remember, I told you a bit earlier in the video, I told you about a quest related to killing these bandits. They have some stolen loot that you need to collect in order to get your accessory items. So remember to pick that up as well if you kill these and they drop the stolen loot. And also moving on here, I guess we pulled some mobs on our way up here with a carpet. So up here, killing these bandits will also have a chance to spawn some named bosses up here. We have 3 different, I think, yeah, 3 different bosses that spawns up here by killing the bandits, and they also they will drop some of these fragments that I showed you a bit earlier. These fragments in here. So and you need them to complete the quest to get the accessories. But moving over here now, let me just jump off my mount for a bit so I can control the character a bit easier. Moving over here now, we can see that one of the named spawns are up. This is one of the bandit leaders. And what you need to know about him is that he will throw you around like, you know, like a soccer ball. So, you know, I recommend fighting him inside this tent if you meet him. So let me see if I can target him and just kill him real quick here. And then I can show you one of the things that I mentioned earlier as well. Oh, so we got another spawn here now, and okay, so you see he's coming through the tent here. As you saw there, there was as an emote across the screen, and that is the same for all the named spawns. Whenever a named spawn pops up in the zone, you will have this screen-wide message saying that, letting you know that that they have spawned. So you can. You can also choose to have some audio triggers and also the HUD, which I've showed you in a previous video. Let's see if this one has anything. Okay, so he has a spell. Okay, so moving over to Roki here, maybe he has something more interesting. Yeah. So as you can see here, he has a lot of bags that you just sell for money, and he has the fragments. And he has a few on him, and most of the time he also summons them to some of the NPCs that were some of the characters that you used to kill him with. So now I can show you this hotkey that I used to use when I was farming in here. So by pushing this, I will tell all my characters to let me know if they have something under a cursor, and I will also tell them to auto inventory it. Alright, so basically he didn't have any right now, so since I don't... But using this, most of the times when you kill him, he will summon some of these fragments to one of your character's cursors. So, you know, using this, you will just tell them to put it in their inventory for later use. These bandits also, bandit leaders also drop souls that you need to complete the augment quest that I showed you earlier. So this is the bandit camp. There's one more bandit camp a bit further down between here and the orc lair, where you can kill bandits. And then let's move over to the last faction. I've now shown you the orc and the null faction. So this area up here is the Sarthin faction. And the Sarthin faction is the 3rd faction, and it's a bit, should take a bit longer time to finish up the Sarthin faction because of many things really. One of them being that There are not that many Sarnaks up here. Well, they have added a few. Maybe it has evened out a little bit, but it's also quite, you know, it is a bit harder to pull this area because there are a lot of things you can get stuck in. So you know, it does take some time finishing up this faction. But as with the other factions, you can also have some named bosses that spawns in here. I have one up already, which we will find over here, so we can take a look at him. He should be in here. There we can see the Sarnak leader, Crypt Lord Vaxel. And the cool thing about this this one is that, well, I'm not gonna say everything about how you know, trigger all these boss spawns. You can figure some stuff out yourself, and you can also, you know, basically talk to people, and you'll learn stuff. But this is actually one of the bosses that you need to kill. Let me just put on some damage here and just get him down real quick. So you can see here there are some more wailing Sarnaks that spawns here, and they are actually some spoiler here, I guess, because the wailing spectral Sarnaks, they will have a chance to spawn this boss. So make sure that you kill them, and they only spawn during night. So as I told you previously in the video, the game time will actually matter when you play in the zone. So some events will happen during day, and some events will maybe happen during night. You know, some of the bosses in here actually even changes the game time on their own when they spawn. So I told you that it's currently nighttime, and it has been nighttime in this zone ever since I walked in here. And there's a reason, and I'll get to that reason really quick now. But first, let's see if this Crypt Lord has anything nice. Tarvax, and loot him, because with if you can remember the the Basilisk boss that I killed earlier in the video, she had the possibility of getting dropping a really nice belt, and this one has this NPC has a chance to drop a really nice ring. And behold, here it is. This is much better ring than the one you'll get by finishing the bandit quest with the fragments. And as we can see here, it also has the soul, which you will need to complete the quest for the champion symbol. And also we have these tokens again, which you will need to turn in to get the Sarnak armor. And in the end also the ultimate armor. So so this is quite nice. So these are definitely items that you would want to loot when you come in here. I don't need them anymore, but it is what it is. I'll just take them now, and let's move on, because there are one more thing, at least one more thing that I wanted to show you. Because I told you, well, I'm not sure if I told you already or not, but there are some mobs in the zone, vampires in the zone, and the vampires in the zone will spawn during night. Well, some of the vampires will be during day as well, and some of the vampires will spawn during night. And I told you already that the current game time is midnight, and that is because I've spawned one of the bosses in this zone, one of the possibly the hardest boss to spawn in this zone actually, which is the Vampire Lords. And the Vampire Lord is one of the bosses that you need to kill to get symbols for the champion symbol quest that I've showed you. So let's see if we can just kill this real quick, and then we can move on and try and kill him, and then we can show you what kind of loot he has. As you can see here, there are a lot of mobs in this zone, and you know, a lot of the people that has gone through this tier has been using they have been using necromancers, just because, you know, they have so good deep area DPS. So you can do that as well. Alright, so moving on here, let's go over here and see. This is the Vampire Lord. This is one of the many bosses that can spawn in the zone. He's actually quite cool looking. So let's see here if you have anything for us today. We can kill him, and if we're lucky, he will drop one of the the symbols that are needed for the hit point augment. So let's see here. Yeah, some of these loots is just not. This was actually part of a quest early on when the zone was new, and you definitely don't need this anymore. This is just trash. But the thing you want is this one, the Soul of the Vampire Lord. This is basically one of the hardest souls to get, and this is also something that one of the souls that you need to complete the quest. So getting that soul is quite important, and it may take a very long time for you to get this guy to spawn because he's quite rare, and he only spawns during night. So so there's that as well. Let me think. Is there anything else that I should show now in the beginning? I think, you know, as I said earlier, I could go on for, you know, so long explaining all the things that are happening in the zone. Here we can see a treasure chest, which you can open if you have one of the keys that the bosses drop. But I think we will settle with this for now. It's already starting to become a really long video, this one. I knew it was going to be long, but you know, hopefully this can help you get a glimpse into what the zone is about, and yeah, give you some starting tips on how to, you know, go ahead when you first enter the zone. And also, I wish you good luck when you enter in here. It does take a lot of time to complete this. It's like the Abyss, the tier 5. It's like a hell zone. It takes a long time to finish, but it is a lot of different things that are happening in here. So it is quite varied. The only, you know, real downside with this zone is that, and I'm happy to say that in the tiers that has been made after tier 10, Sleeper's Tomb and Vision's Peak, and also as promised in the future zones that we that our game master developer is working on now, namely tier 11. The focus will shift more towards fewer mobs and not like killing a lot of mobs at the same time. And in this zone, you may have some issues using your entire arsenal because the mobs in this zone, they rampage, they hit quite hard. So basically you will end up having the problem of not being able to utilize all your characters necessarily when you fight in here, because they will you know, quite often die due to the rampage the mobs in here have. So so basically using your tank, your necromancers, your healers, your buffers, divine auras and stuff will get you quite far. And one of the main tips that I can give you is to make sure that your tank gets all the fat loots first, so that he gets geared up and gets as many hit points as possible, as quick as possible, so you can make larger pulls and complete complete these faction quests faster. So that is it for now. I will definitely be back with more content for tier 10, because there are so many, you know, I've been here for so many years doing so many different things, so I have a lot of good ideas that can be useful both for new players breaking in here and also for the seasoned players that have already been here for a while. So I will definitely get back to that as well. But for this guide, I think I've covered the basics now. And as always, if there are anything you know, that is unclear or that I haven't touched in on, you can always read up on our wiki, and and ask in game if there are anything that is unclear. So yeah, so I guess that is it, and just a quick rundown here, see if there's any really important items that I've forgotten to mention. Yes, I'm not sure if I mentioned these in the previous. We can do one more thing that I wanted to mention. Some of the mobs in here, the bosses in here, they drop weapon skins. And some of these weapon skins can be really handy for you. For example, let me take my monk here. Here we have the Plaguebringer's Fist of Reckoning, which is one of the items that drops in here. And the good thing about these is that you will be able to use your strike augments, socket them into these weapons. So basically, my monks have the access to Ninja Strike rank 12, which will proc a really good damage proc here, which will obviously be multiplied by many of the items that I already have equipped. So make sure that you pick up these weapons and try to socket them with augments if you want to try and use use your DPS classes when you're fighting in here. But once you get your ultimate armor on your tank, he will do most of the job, really. He will do most of the job, and just make sure that you find a good way to pull as many mobs as you can handle. Maybe have your clerics or your healers throw you some heals, and use Divine Aura when you're pulling. And also make use of the combination of Savage Onslaught Discipline and your ultimate weapon gloves, which will I can show you how these work. Activating them will throw on Enrage, which will riposte, and it'll stack really well with the Savage Onslaught Discipline, which will make you riposte and do tons of damage. So this is a good way to kill a lot of mobs in here once you have started getting your ultimate armor and stuff. So yeah, just a small tip in the end there. And yes, I thank you for watching this way too long video of tier 10. It's a lot of good things to say about this zone, and there's also some things that people don't like about it. But all in all, it's a very unique experience on the EZServer, and it's something that you need to deal with in order to get further ahead. So so coming up in the next few days, we will have a guide to Sleeper's Tomb and to Vision's Peak as well. So stay tuned for those as well. And as always, thank you for watching, and stay safe.